Hello from Nether Springs. It's Christmas Eve, and I thought to share with you the Jesse tree reading and ornament for today, which is the cross and the crown. And you can see here our Jesse tree, and through the window what's trying to be snow out there, but I think is just freezing rain right now. But the Bible reading for today is Luke chapter 2, verses 34 and 35. Then Simeon blessed them and said to Jesus' mother Mary, "This child is destined for the falling and rising of many in Israel, and to be the sign that will be opposed, so that the inner thoughts of many will be revealed, and a sword will pierce your own soul too." And from Celtic Daily Prayer. This night, the long night, the Christ child will be born to be king, born to die. Joy comes through the pain. There is no other way. Through the long night we wait and hope. Cross and crown bring shadow and light over this life who is coming to us. So we're nearing the end of 2020, and it's been a hard year to be a human. And it's got me thinking again about Jesus and his choice to become one. Now, one thing about being human this year, and I don't know if you've been like me, I've watched a bit more television than usual during lockdown, and I've been struck surprisingly by a series on Netflix called The Queen's Gambit. And it's a story, well, it starts out with a 9-year-old girl who's sent to an orphanage. And she's dutifully downstairs cleaning out the erasers in the orphanage basement, as her teachers ask her to do. And the janitor's there, and he's playing a game which intrigues her. Turns out this game is chess, and she has an uncanny ability to play. The janitor kind of takes her under his wing and slowly teaches her the game and encourages her on her way. Also at the orphanage, the children are given special vitamins every day, including a little green pill, which is not something good for them. It's actually a tranquilizer. And she develops at this very young age an addiction to that substance. So you hear and see throughout the story how she keeps dealing with this special gift that she's given, as well as the challenges of her life. Now, I'm not particularly interested in chess, so I've been surprised why I've been so drawn to and compelled by the story. But I was thinking again about how it's a story. It's in some ways it's everyone's story. It's the hero's journey. It's such a human story where you have a person and they have something unique about them. They have a gift. They have something that comes easily to them, that brings them joy, that offers something to the world. Will this gift be discovered? Who will help them discover it? Will they believe in it? And then, if all that happens, what happens about how you develop that gift? How you don't just take the natural ability, but how you hone it, how you discipline it, how you work with it, how you offer it, what you do with it. Also, I think there is then the own personal struggle in the midst of it, which every person will have in some way or another. For her, it's connected to the little green pills along the way and the pain in her life that she's trying to seek relief from, if you like, through them. But all of us will have our thing that tempts us or draws us, something that we'll try to throw at ourselves to help relieve the pain of being human. But she has to face her own inner demons in order to succeed, if she were to do that. And also then finally, and this is what really struck me perhaps most of all in this series, is the role of other people. How they hurt or help us along the way, and how we hurt or help them. Now, chess, you think of as such a solitary sport, and she's an American chess player, so the other Americans she's playing with are her competitors. She's trying to win, she's trying to beat them. You might think of it as like, I'm going to keep my chess skills to myself. But along the way, one of the top US players speaks about the Russians. And he says, the thing about them and why they're part of the greatest chess players in the world is they help each other to be better. And in America, it's all about the individual. But in Russia, they know basically about community and how to help each other along the way. So she has to decide how she's going to interact with her own chess tribe, if you like. I've been thinking as well then, as I said, about Jesus' journey. And yes, I'm about to compare the Son of God to a 20-year-old American chess player, but why not? So he has a very special gift, obviously, something that only he can bring to the world. He's been put on this earth with a purpose. He has to discover that. He has to somehow come to terms with it and believe it in himself. He also then has to not just take that natural gift or purpose, but do the work of offering it to the world and developing it as he goes. He faced, as we know, every temptation that we face, even though he didn't give in, so he didn't have to know about how you have to pick yourself up when you fall. But he faced all of the temptations, and maybe even more so because he had such an easy out. Whenever life was painful, he could basically, if you like, snap his fingers or ask God, and it could all go away with the fully divine part. But in the fully human part, or the ways he is fully human, he faced all of those things. And we know that the devil obviously targeted him, and in the desert and in other places, to try to deter him from offering what he had to give to the world. And finally, and this is again the part of the story I'm really interested in this time of this year, is the role of other people in Jesus' own journey. Because I don't usually think about him as needing us as a human. I think, he's the main character and it was all about him. And in some ways, it's like the thick-headed disciples were the perfect foil for his brilliance and his wisdom. I relate to them, and you think, oh, there they are, bumbling along, confused, trying to figure it out. But in this year where I think we've realized afresh not only how much we need solitude and time alone, but how much we need other people, that I think the disciples were there not just to highlight his wisdom, or even just to be part of the strategy. If you're going to reach the world, really impact this group, and then they can impact this group, and then it can keep growing. But he had these disciples because he needed some mates. He wanted, he needed people to share a meal with, to have a laugh with, to tell stories to. He was teaching them and showing them a new way, but surely he received from them as well. I especially keep thinking about the home of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, and the way that he kept returning to that place. It must have been one of the places where he felt like he could really be himself. And of course, we know he cried when his friend Lazarus died. And this must have been something of a mutual relationship. They weren't just there to serve him, or he wasn't just there to serve them, but actually there was give and take. They needed each other somehow. It's really special to me to think about the alone together in Jesus' own life on earth. Also, just that thing, when humans are born, I think, did Jesus need other people? When humans are born, it's almost like a fourth trimester. One of the gifts of being at Nether Springs is we're right across from the field with the alpacas, and every year you get to watch baby alpacas being born. And they come out all awkward with these spindly legs. But remarkably, within hours, they're running across the field. And to contrast that to a human baby, it's like we are so dependent on others to care for us when we're first born. And Jesus said that. He wouldn't have survived his first week without Mary and Joseph's provision and care. And he wouldn't survived his first few years unless his parents had made the difficult choice that many parents before him and after him had to make, which was to flee their own country as political refugees. Without that, he would not have survived to have his first year at school or whatever, the equivalent was. Also, then the companionship along the way, the men and women who followed him, but were also his companions. That was important. I do believe that must have been really important to him. And then we see him on the cross. And one of the very, very last things he does is to make sure that his mother and arguably his best friend are going to be okay. In human terms, he doesn't have a last will and testament or much to give them, but he gives them to each other as family. Practically the very last thing he does before he dies is to provide family for these two dear ones that are going to be, in a way, left behind. So when I think about, as well, then going back to us and our own story, I hope you are, a sense, the hero, the heroine of your own story, and that you have a sense of recognizing these elements. Because when we think about Jesus and the cross and the crown, in a sense, it's unique to him, but in a way it's for all of us. So I hope you sense your own crown today, on this day when we're looking at that. The thing that gives you dignity, the thing that is uniquely yours to give the world, the thing that gives you joy, the thing that you feel at ease doing, be it playing chess or saving the world or something else in between, that you have a sense of your own crown. But also, of course, you'll have your own cross to bear. The ways that temptation comes knocking on your door, whispering into your ear. The way that the sword of grief pierces your own heart. The way that your own flesh and body limits you and brings you pain. The crown and the cross. We remember this for Jesus, but we remember it for us too. We remember in this long night that joy comes through the pain. There is no other way. We'd like to think there you get one without the other, preferably the joy one. But actually they so often go together. The cross and the crown, joy and pain, alone together. There has been plenty of shadow in this year, but the light is still as resplendent as it always has been, and it's on its way. Blessings to you in this time.